Hello, my fellow seekers. Welcome to Into the Work, therapy for empaths, seekers, and the intuitively driven, where you have front row seats to therapy sessions and expert interviews that will help you define the important work that you're here to do. So I guess you actually have something better than front row seats. You practically have a seat on my couch. That's right, you will have unrestricted access to actual sessions with real people, exploring real life issues. You will continue to be inspired by powerful conversations with experts and healers that might just share exactly what it is that you need to hear to get unstuck. I am Michelle Pauverman. I am a recovering people pleaser and former anxiety-driven empath, turned now mostly grounded psychotherapist and intuitive coach. I have been helping people for almost 20 years manage their limiting beliefs and anxiety to finally stop the self-sabotage and step into their gifts. I created this podcast, Into the Work, to give you a place to learn more about yourself and give you actionable strategies to finally move those roadblocks holding you back so you can go for what you want. Above all else, my hope is that this podcast is a catalyst for your awakening. If you're listening, you've already taken a step towards getting off of autopilot, and our next steps together will be taken episode by episode, waking you up to the possibilities, the new ways of thinking and being, so that you can stretch into that next level of your story. The spark has already been lit, and my friend, this is a journey from spark to brilliance. So together, let's light a fire. Let's just jump in. Hi, welcome back to the show, Into the Work, therapy for empaths and seekers. I am Michelle Pauverman, psychotherapist, energy healer, and your guide as we explore the deep, sacred, and often very messy terrain of living as a sensitive soul in this chaotic world. I'm going to share something today with you that I have not ever shared on the show before. And today's episode is truly, from me to you, it is a reminder and a reactivation of your true nature. Because if you're an empath, you're probably feeling everything right now, particularly. And I mean everything, the grief, the rage, the helplessness, the heartbreak, and maybe even the guilt that you can't do more. But I want to offer you something different today. Not a solution, but actually a remembrance, a shift out of the overwhelm and back into your power. You're not here to drown in the pain of the world, okay? You are here to help heal it, and in your own very sacred way. So let's be honest right now. There's so much suffering in the world that even flipping through social media and glancing at the news can feel seriously like a tidal wave some days. And if you're deeply empathic, that wave doesn't just hit you. Okay, that tidal wave doesn't just hit you, it moves into you. It settles in your body, it stays in your heart, and it leaves you wondering, what is the point of being this empath sensitive soul if I can't handle it, if it's so overwhelming to me? But here's what I want you to hear loud and clear, is you didn't come here to be hardened. Okay, you didn't come here to get harder and tougher in that way. You came here to be a healer. And that doesn't mean rescuing everyone. It means staying connected to your light in a world that is desperate for it. Okay? Now, there's a painful myth out there that being an empath is a burden, we're fragile, we're too much, we're falling apart too easily. And the truth is your nervous system, okay, is wired to feel what others won't. Your energy is tuned to frequencies that many people ignore. And your heart is open, not by accident, but by design. And there is all good reasons as to why you are here in this body, in this time. And you are here not because you're too sensitive, right? You're here because you are highly attuned. And that is not a flaw, it is a gift. Empaths are like the nervous system of humanity, right? We feel what's happening in the collective body. And when we tend to our own feelings, we create space for others to heal too. And we cannot do this if we're lost in everyone else's pain. So I just want to name Secondary trauma is real, and this happens when we experience emotional pain from witnessing the trauma of others. So whether it's clients, friends, global suffering on the news, it is a secondary trauma for many of us to witness and bear witness to people's plight, to destruction, to the things that are happening that are really, really freaking painful to watch, right? When we see other lives at stake, see other people being tortured, when we see other bad things happening, it is absolutely conditions for secondary trauma. And it's common for us empaths to over-identify with the pain that doesn't even actually belong to us, but to take it on as a personal burden. And while this sensitivity is part of our gifts, it must be paired with some discernment. You're meant to feel, but not to absorb, not to carry, and certainly not to abandon yourself in the name of helping others or doing things that harm you in some way down the road. So you are a light worker. And in your own way, there's a truth in this that's buried deep down inside you. This is where the truth comes in. You are not here to do it all. You are not here to play every role, but you are here to play a sacred role. And as a light worker, this can look very different for different people. So I want to introduce to you today the 3 type of empath lightworkers that I have been using this framework for years, and I actually haven't talked about it in a while. When I really started seeing people through this framework of these clients that were coming in and seeing me, these different variations of empaths, I was starting to kind of put names to them and starting to see how they interact in the world differently from each other. And I actually created an entire course on this. But then the pandemic hit and I was in the middle of it and things got crazy and I never put it out. So I wanted to talk about it today because each type of empath is a healer. So I'm going to go through 3 different types and I want you to listen in and see what you most resonate with. Each one of these empaths is a healer. Each one is a gift and each one is needed, especially now. Each one of these is important. And there is a spectrum. So as I'm talking about this, I want you to imagine, I'm going to talk about 1, 2, and 3 types of empaths, and I want you to imagine them on a spectrum. You can be all the way to the left, or you can really start to blend into the next type. And you can kind of hold, some of us hold a little bit of both. Some of us even move through the spectrum. You know, I have worked with people who really came at me when they were one thing, and then because I work with some of my clients for years at a time, I can see them also blossoming into another role as an empath as they're working on their own light work and their own being and soul work here. So to start, the first one I called the Frontline Empath. And some of you listeners have known me for a long time. You might have remembered me talking about this back in the day because I used to talk about this a lot more. And the Frontline Empath is if this is you, you are activated in crisis. You run toward the fire when everyone else is running away. You advocate, you respond, you hold the line. You're the therapist on the crisis call, the protester, the activist, and the trauma responder. You are built to show up strong and be present, and you do need rest after. So there is a beginning and an end to these bursts of energy that you bring to the world. You carry the warrior energy. Even with your deeply feeling heart, you are a warrior deep down inside. At your extreme, you come in hot until you run out of interest or energy. So you can find in everyday life when there's not a fire, right? You can find that you can come in hot on things and then kind of burn out and fizzle out and sort of lose your energy with things and want to move on to something that's more exciting. You're driven towards your divine mission of inspiring and healing and building and creating. This is a big part of your drive in the world. You have a mission. You feel, we all, 3 of us, all 3 types have a mission. But yours definitely has to do with inspiring and healing and building and creating and having an impact on the greater good, on the greater people. You strive to be seen and known, even though insecurities may stifle you when you're moving from intention into action. And so this can be very stifling if this is the type of empath you are, because there's a lot of energy running through you to get shit done. There's a lot of energy to get out there and stick to your mission and build and create and impact on others. And if you get stifled in that thought theory to action space, right? If you really get stifled in there because you have insecurities, and we all have our own programming. And if your programming keeps you from moving forward, that really can create a lot of anxiety for you. And as you do move into your place, right? When you really start getting out there and you're doing things and you're working with people and you're out serving the masses, you can get overwhelmed by the growing number of people's energies that as you keep striving to reach more, you can start to feel like, I'm not well in this anymore. And that's part of your work. Long-term projects and relationships must have variability, or you're probably going to move on. Showing up on the regular versus during crisis can be hard for you. You are that friend that's just the freaking bomb when it is crisis time. They're like, I'll take her, right? She's amazing. Maintenance in your relationships can sometimes feel like that's for somebody else. And that's not, remember, this is a spectrum, so this isn't exactly it for everybody, but there is a softening that can be part of the work that you do for yourself in terms of connection and being grounded with people. And so your shadow work, being in charge, control, vulnerability, those are all areas that you're going to need to work on. If you're avoidant, you must heal your wounds of limiting beliefs to relieve your huge internal pressure, because this can turn into internal pressure. And if you are not working on that avoidance and you are not working on these limiting beliefs, then, that's going to make you feel unwell. You're not going to feel good about that. It's going to feel like a lot of internal pressure and anxiety. You must feel free to fly and create the big life you're here for. And so now that is sort of the front line. They are definitely my activist types too, right? They're like, I'm ready to fight. They'll turn around and they will manage conflict in a pretty strong way. And when they do the work, these frontline empaths, they don't get so enmeshed with other people. They really are able to be clear about what it is they want, what it is they need, what it is they see that's not okay. They will stick up for the little guy. They will jump in and save the day. They are definitely, if you're a frontline empath, you are not afraid. You will not, you might not back down if you feel like you need to stand your ground. And there's something really beautiful about that for you and really amazing and how you can help other people through that gift. Now, the nurturing empath, you hold the space when the responders, the frontline responders, they go home, so you hold the space when they leave. I want you to imagine if there's, the world is in crisis, which it is, right? The world is in crisis in ways. And we've got this front wave of humans that just come in to fight, to respond, to give a voice to what they see. They struggle with injustice is hard, right? All of that. Now, the next wave of humans, like empaths, behind them, they're there for potentially the long haul. They're tending to the hearts that are broken open, right? You support, you soothe, you witness, and you rebuild. You may be a caregiver, an energy healer, a teacher, a long-term therapist, a quiet companion. But you, my dear, you stabilize the field. You restore trust. You remind others they are not alone. During a crisis, you pick up where the front empaths go home to refresh their energy. You may be in it for the long haul, and you're okay with that. You are a healer, and you love to heal the individual or small groups. You are really good at holding space for others and listening, and you may struggle saying no because disappointing people is quite awful to you. Now, the frontline empath, they're less attached to that. Now, they're still empaths. They still sense, feel, and see others' emotions. They are reading people. They are getting that information, but they don't have that same vulnerability to, being enmeshed with others in a sense that disappointing people is so awful that they have to bend over backwards to make sure that doesn't happen. Now, you can be both. Remember, this is a continuum. You can have a little bit here and a little bit there, but They're definitely different. And at your extreme, as a nurturing empath, you can get a little lost in other people's needs and opinions and then can have difficulty formulating your own. You can be overwhelmed by the injustice. You definitely can get overwhelmed by evil and large-scale pain. So depending where you are on the spectrum might be how much you can show up and the kind of boundary work that you need to do in order to be the healer you're here to be. You might need to seriously boundary up. You might need to work with certain groups of people and not others. And so that plays a role in your vulnerability to your energy field, your ability. That shadow work, therefore, is enmeshment, people-pleasing, looking for validation that you're doing okay. All of that can come from the nurturing empath's energy. But at the end of the day, that nurturing empath is such a beautiful, beautiful healing presence in the world. And you are so needed in this world to shine light, to be able to have the boundaries, to be able to show up in your light, not your overwhelm, but in your light, and to be able to stabilize the field, right? To be able, you have such a high, your vibration is allowing the energy field of the earth to tap in and recognize that, we are going to get into coherent state here. You're able to stay coherent when other people and other chaos around you is happening. When other people are in chaos, when the people are grieving, when they're hurting, you can bring in that level of calm. And that is such a beautiful thing. Now, the last type of empath I want to just briefly touch upon today is the Mystic Empath. And you may not be, and so if you're the Mystic Empath, you may not be on the front lines, but you are anchoring healing from the higher realms. Okay, you pray, you channel, you send love and energy from sacred spaces, you hold the 5D vision, even when 3D feels so freaking impossible, right? You are so able to detach from that. What the rest of us are seeing as reality, you have a whole different perspective. You're the seer, the intuitive, the sacred space holder. You help the collective heal by staying deeply rooted in the light, in the knowing that is what is beyond what everybody is experiencing here. Perhaps you are a starseed. You resonate, which means you resonate with being a multi-dimensional being who has lived here on Earth as well as other planets before. You have chosen to be on this planet at this time to reawaken here and awaken others so that you can heal this planet that is experiencing a dark night in its own trauma state. During a crisis, you are home probably, and probably in a very sacred space, tapping into what you know is the healing energy to bring to the earth. Prayers, connecting to other realms for energy. You're doing all of this to bring harmony to the earth. You likely are more likely finding introversion easier. You may be seen as someone who floats around, sort of disconnected from your surroundings. You may feel so connected to the spiritual realm that it's sometimes even really hard to be here on Earth. When you stare up at the sky, you feel a deep connection to the stars. You feel a deep connection to what's beyond. And sometimes being here can even feel hard. Like, do I belong here? I feel like I'm supposed to be elsewhere. This bizarre churning inside you. And as a kid, the term ADD may have been even mentioned because you're such a daydreamer. You're sort of here and not here sometimes. You're here to be creative, for sure. You're wise and humorous. You're here to teach people to see beyond their narrow perceptions and break the illusions we live with. Because we all aren't aware of the illusions that we're living in, and you're able to see beyond it, what we are seeing as reality. And you have more faith in your guides than your doctors, right? And any other authority figure. After all, they too are just here having human experiences. Your shadow work can sometimes be like you feel like you have a secret, and it's hard being close to anybody else who doesn't know it. Striving towards higher dimensions can keep you introverted. It's important that you find other mystics to connect with because it can lead to loneliness. It can lead to separation. It can lead to depression and other mental health issues that are kind of cause you to struggle here because you're feeling disconnected. So it's really important as a mystic to be connected to those who understand and get where you're coming from and can deeply connect in that space. You have such a beautiful, incredible gift to share here on earth because you hold the greater knowledge and the greater vision of what is possible and what is truly happening and how we can all be released from this enslavement almost from, the ego and all the things happening here. So when we look at all three of these, you can see none of them are more important than the others. And you may move between them in different seasons. Like I said, sometimes you might have started off as a nurturing empath, but somewhere down the line through your own work, you suddenly really open up to becoming a mystic, somebody who is really more connected to the other realms. Here's what's important. Okay, this is why I'm talking to you about this today, because I do believe when you know your role, you can stop judging your path. You can stop comparing. You can start honoring who you are and step into your genius zone and your gifts. I have talked about this perhaps before, but if I don't understand that I'm not a frontline, I'm not a frontline empath. I do have some of that in me. I'm a smorgasbord, right? But on the spectrum, I've seen and done my own work at figuring out where am I? Who am I? What am I here for? And how do I funnel my genius zone and how to get my gifts out into the world and not be in comparisonitis or not look around and be like, oh my God, I feel so bad because I'm more of a diplomat than an activist, right? And that's very common for those of us that have more of the nurturing empath than the front line, right? The mystic stuff comes later in life for me, a little bit more and more, every year I feel. But in terms of knowing that for myself, allows me to release myself from these awful experiences of guilt and shame that I'm not marching somewhere, I'm not yelling somewhere, I'm not beating down doors somewhere, I'm not angry and getting in people's faces and fighting for what's right because I'm here healing and I'm here holding space and I'm here doing the trauma work and I'm here doing all these other things. And it's not in my genius zone. It's not in my nature to be the front line in that way, not in that strong way. And I have had very close relationships with frontline empaths who, I just almost I almost want to shrivel up because they're so big and they can get into conflict. And I'm like, oh, I'm all conflict avoidant here. And that is something to recognize about yourself, that it's okay, be you, but show up because you got to know that you are contributing to the greater good too. We all have our roles. We're all playing important parts. And we're all here to help this earth with our light, with our vibration, to bring more coherence to earth and to help heal as best as we can. And it is making a difference. So I want to leave you with this. If you are feeling overwhelmed, if you've been questioning your sensitivity, if you felt powerless to stop the pain that you see around you, you're not powerless. You are powerful, but your power lies not in saving everyone. It lies in staying anchored in your role as a light worker. And the best you can do that, the better you're serving everybody. So maybe today your role is to just pray. Maybe today it's to hold space for a client. Maybe it's to rest so you can rest up for the good fight because that's what you're about to do. Maybe it's to light a candle and whisper healing into the ether and to bring in more knowledge and knowing and connection to other realms. Maybe it's to show up for someone on the edge. Whatever it is, it matters and you matter and your light is not optional. It is essential. So keep that in mind and go out there and be the most you can possibly be. That's my advice. Just be the most you can possibly be. There is absolutely nothing better, and there's no one else that can do it. I'd love to hear from you which empathic lightworker you're resonating with right now. So feel free to send me a DM on Instagram. I love getting those messages. Take a moment to reflect in your journal about it. And of course, if you have any questions, you can always shoot me a message. If you know another empath or another sensitive soul that needs this message, please share this episode. We are not meant to do this work alone. So until next time, keep holding the light and have a beautiful week. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to Into the Work Therapy for Empaths and Seekers. Don't forget to grab your free gift, your Shadow Work Transformation Bundle at michellepoverman.com. I've included everything you need to get started to break through the patterns of self-sabotage and finally start to heal the parts of yourself that are getting in the way of truly reaching your potential. From a powerful meditation designed to help you meet and embrace your shadow self, to the guide that's full of curated prompts and important questions to support you on this journey. This really can be the work for you to unmask the root cause of all the issues you've been experiencing, honestly, and start to feel free to believe in yourself and go for what you want. The link for this free bundle is in the show notes. And if you like this episode, I would be so grateful if you could take a moment and rate, click and follow, and leave a review. Of course, you can always follow me on socials at Michelle Poverman. And keep in mind, as you embark on your journey from spark to brilliance, remember, the universe is always conspiring in favor of your awakening. Everything that's happening is in support of you lighting your own fire within. So until we meet again, may your path be well lit and your heart be guided. Shine bright, seekers, until next time.